to another vlog on this channel. Welcome. Today I'm going to talking about a topic that's been on my heart I want to share, and it's going to be very simple topic. Maybe this title will be modified, but if not, that is the title for this vlog. So today's vlog is for those that are foreign students, those that are preparing to write the Mdcn exam. And even if you're not a foreign student and you want to apply some of the things I've said to your exam, whatever, I hope one way or the other is going to be helpful. So I did school in Nigeria for my medical studies. I schooled away from Nigeria, and so many things happened along the way, which, if God permits, I'm going to share it on this vlog in other unique formats. But I'll just say that I spent 6 years in school, because that was the duration for my school. And where I studied, there was no, most of the schools there were for 5 years, but mine was for 6 years. So it kind of just gave us that feel that, okay, Nigeria is 6 years. Then coupled with, we had an issue in the country, and then there was Corona, so 6 years turned to 7 years. So coupled with, there were so many things that came up along the way of trying to finish the school, and it was literally just a struggle. Not because I failed or was doing any poorly in school. By God's grace, I wasn't doing poorly in school, but there were just many issues that came up that was so frustrating, to the point that one was just tired, we're just wanting to leave, just done with everything. And God helped, and we're done. However, we had a bridge to cross, which we were always aware of, which is Mdcn, or which was Mdcn. We knew that Mdcn was eminent. Even before I went to start the school, I was aware that I'm going to write Mdcn. So today I'm just going to go straight to the point. There are so many stories to tell about medical school and all, which to an extent I have been sharing some part of that on my blog. The link in my description box down below will lead you to those places to read my blog and my other places. So somehow in my blog I've been sharing to an extent about just some bits of my life, not necessarily all of it, but hopefully I'm really trusting God to share some much more insights with time. So that is on that way. The plan to make a bit more organized sharing is on that way. So let's just say this is just one of the ways I'm going to share, but a much more organized format will come as time goes on. So one was aware that there was an Mdcn to write. It was sub-eminent there. We had seniors who wrote the exams and passed. So there was always just that curiosity. I'll talk about from my own side, to know what the exam was about, to know what it entailed, how my seniors passed. And no one was just curious about it, because there were many stories flying around about how it was difficult to pass the exam and how people were failing. Many stories were coming, but to a great extent, most of the people around me who were my seniors were doing well, were passing, and they were not having much problem. So, as usual, that would always be part of prayer points to pray about. So before I left the country that I was in, I really encouraged a lot of prayers regarding the exam, and thank God for my family, the church I left, the country where I stayed. If necessity, at the time, I'm certainly going to let out the place I studied. Yes, if you don't know, that's if you are not a family member watching this vlog. But if you are a stranger watching this vlog, with time, and where I studied will be shared in a better organized format. Today I just want to give some unique tips of how I passed my exams, and it's going to be as simple as you ever think. So I really want to thank God for the family I left back in this country I studied, and they were such a huge blessing to my life. So coming back home, there was the exam that was written around the June, and we were really hoping to write that one, but things happened. Like I told you, a lot of frustrating things happened, and we missed that. Most of my classmates missed the exam, but some of my classmates quickly were able to meet up with the exams, and to God be the glory, they all passed. So one was like, okay, you have some form of encouragement. So I came back home around May, and the second exam was in November, so it meant I had 6 months left to prepare. So to a great extent, I've had a lot about tutorial schools, classes, and how people were propagating it, but I wasn't feeling so much settled. When I was in my final year, I remembered a lot of people going to tutorial classes, and I remember God just telling me not to bother going, that He just wanted to take glory for my exams. And at first, initially, I felt agitated. Oh, people are going, people were hyping, people were paying for these classes, and you are not going. Like, are you being stingy and all? But honestly, I was actually even watching my wallet, and most of the tutorials were quite expensive, so I just kept the wallet, and I felt okay, I rely on my books, and to God be the glory, my results were very good. So for this one, I was like still not very settled about whether I should go for a tutorial class or not. I was just not feeling that way, and coupled with the security issues, I was not very sure if my parents would have allowed me to travel and all. And when I even shared it with them, my dad wasn't really so pumped about that. He wasn't so feeling so great about that. So he just encouraged me to stay back where I was and go to the hospital at home and do postings there. Now, an advantage is that my dad's a doctor and he works in the hospital. He's a lecturer there. He's a lecturer in the hospital, and he sort of was into the school system and academic system, and he encouraged me to join posting. So as God would have it, I had a very great person that was also great help, and attached me to a very senior person in the hospital that attached me to do my postings. So I came back around ending of May, beginning of June, and I said ending of May, in fact 31st of May. So it was literally June I came back. So I started around July. I gave like a month just to get myself, because honestly, exams drained me out and I wasn't able to. My brain was blocked because my final year exams was very draining emotionally, physically, and mentally. So I was just out. So I felt okay, let me start by June. So I started by June, and I started first with medicine rotation, started going to classes and started getting some pumped. I was still struggling so hard. However, I've always been on the Mdcn Telegram group channel since my third or fourth year. My encouragement to anybody out here watching this video before your Mdcn exam, please look for the Mdcn Telegram group and join. Please. At least join that main one, then you can branch out to join the rest. Please, very important. Then, I've been in that group for a while to look for information and just to get a brush up of questions and get used to how things were done in terms of how the questions in the group were done. So I was going to the group to check questions, see how things were done, answer, be part of everything. In fact, from the beginning I started, I was even made a tutor to ask people questions and all. And I was asking, creating my own questions, like O'Shea, like a teacher. So I was creating my own new questions to ask people and engage, but along the line I stopped because I felt I was deceiving myself. I felt I wasn't really studying well, and I stopped. So along the line in my posting, as NRA strike, like the residence doctor strike happened, and there was shortage of house officers and consultants were not that much. So to a great extent, I was just not really having as much as I would have had if the residents were around. However, I really want to give a shout out to the house officers, the consultants, everybody that helped me in my school, in the hospital I attended, which is Udut. God bless you so much. Everybody was literally hands on deck to help me. Like I said, my father works in the hospital, but to be very honest, most of them didn't even know who I was. They just treated me well. Before even knowing who I was, before knowing who my father was, they were treating me very well. And then later on, they found out that, oh, this is your father. So to me, that showed they were really genuine in how they treated me. Everybody was very willing to answer my questions, to assist me, to give me materials. In fact, I met a former foreign student who was now a house officer. He gave me tons of materials, plus another house officer who gave me tons of material. So literally I did my rotation and I really enjoyed myself. I learned a lot, went for clinics, joined the students. If I met clinical students, I joined them, asked questions, had fun with them. Like regardless of our class, I just joined and I enjoyed myself, and I asked and I learned from everyone. So when I was in my last rotation, that was when the strike was called off. Now prior to this, I didn't even know that the Mdcn was going to happen in the hospital I was doing my rotation, which happened to be in Udut, and I didn't know. There was just speculations, but we're not sure. However, finally, when I was already in my last stage of my rotation, we learned that it was going to be in Udut. So it was like, wow, good for me. There was no need for me to travel. I just had to stay. So I didn't go for tutorials. But what happened was that I was heavily involved in the Mdcn group. All the Mdcn channels, I was heavily involved. And from the very first time I came back home, I made sure to download every. My phone is full of so much materials because I downloaded a lot. And I tried my best to be very much part of the classes and all, like the picture test and everything. Tried to engage to a great extent. Mainly people who were writing the exams, most of them were the tutors, and then along the line senior colleagues came to help. But it was very interesting to just be part, to engage. Like, even if I didn't study so much, just being part of a tutorial group it just felt like, okay, I did something and I understood something. However, like I said, because of how stressful my final year was for me and everything that surrounded it, my brain felt blocked. So I wasn't even really assimilating much. But it took so much months, I would say, until around October, just like 1 month the exam, like ending of September, October, I felt my brain was coming back to life. But gratefully, I had been still studying regardless. Like, whether I felt I was understanding or not, I was just reading. So by the time my brain came back to life, good for me. So I'm not even going to go to the process of the registration and everything. That was another very emotionally draining aspect, which I would just say, please keep up to date with the process of Mdcn and the process of registration. A lot of people had issues because they were not keeping up, they were not in the group, they were not associated with, they were not really in tune with what was happening. I tell you, so much things where I really avoided a lot of casualty because I was involved, and I met people on Telegram group who were of great help to me. Like, I just thank God. So I'm not even going to go to the process of the Mdcn and Epic. Please just listen to other people's vlog on it and listen to their advice. Start your Epic on time. I did my Epic not too early, and I just want to say that's God that intervened on my behalf. So please do your Epic on time and be on check for the Mdcn registration with other people. Don't be in isolation. Like, even though I was far away from my mates and I wasn't really studying physically with anyone or even Elan, I made sure to keep in touch, ask questions. I made sure to keep in touch with my classmates and ask them about progress, and many of them were very helpful to me. So now, after the preparation and studying and everything, what happened? Time for the exam. Now I'm just going to give you some tips. I just wanted to give you a rundown so you just know how preparing for the exam was for me. This is not like an elaborate video on that. One, please pray. You see, I watched a lot of vlogs before my exam, and honestly, most of them emphasize on prayer. And as a Christian, as a believer, there's no exam that I go to that I don't pray. As a Christian, I always ask God for a word for my exam, for Him to give me a scope of what I'm going into would look like, and God always does that for me. It's our personal thing. So God actually gave me an encouragement, a perception of how the exam was going to look like, and I held on to that word. And seriously, that was how it was. Like, the exam, the word I got was very strong, and the exam played out that way. Pray. Ask your friends, everyone to pray for you. I asked my church back in the country I left to pray for me. Everyone I knew that I loved, I trusted, and I knew they loved me, I asked them to pray for me, and I was feeling that prayers. 2, know your community medicine. See, I watched a lot of vlogs and people made emphasis on this, and this is true. In Nigeria, community medicine means so much to them. Those research topics, epidemiology, all those things, just know them. They said we should learn things about days of significance. Though that one, none of it came out in my own exam. I tried to still learn them. Learn your community medicine. 2, Mdcn exams are not predictable. That's another thing. Like, tutorial schools try to predict exams, do CBT and all. I didn't even do a mock CBT. Like, I literally didn't know that. But the truth is that the exam is not predictable. 3, this exam, honestly, I had people who told me that the exam was based on your ability to think. Even your picture test, based on your ability to think. Past questions hardly come out. I will confess to you, I looked at so many past questions. I think I saw 1 or 2. And those are the ones I even saw just before I entered the exam hall. The ones I reviewed with some friends. Past questions. I don't know how they managed to do their past questions, but they just have a way of having a lot of past questions. 4, be calm. Like, go to the exam calm, prepare yourself. And if you need a CBT mock, something to do before time, please do it. And that now encourage, there's something they call Mdcn prep. I discovered this along the line with my posting online. You pay for, there are free trials, like you have 20 questions about, but you can pay free trials to try the questions. The day before the exam, I paid for the one for 50, which was 500 naira. I don't know how prices may hike with time, but that was helpful. I can say I even saw some of the questions from that place in the exam, but I can't really recall, but I think I saw one or two. So Mdcn prep, just go there. If you can't pay 1,000, 2,000 to get more, just try and go through that. I think it will be very helpful. Then pray for your computer, that nothing will be wrong with your computer. In fact, I really made sure I prayed, and God answered me in a special way, and I thank God for that. Very important. Don't waste time on your questions. Like, just what I did was that I made sure I answered all my questions. Whether I knew or if I didn't know, I guess it. Since there was no negative marking, I just answered my question. Then I came back and I did review because I knew there was no time. 300 questions. Wow, I have never answered that amount of questions before in any exam. So I couldn't play with that. Coupled with the fact that I did not do a CBT exam before. So I was not even really prepped that much in the quantity of questions. And let me know, like, even times that I tried practicing, I just realized I didn't have the strength to hold on. So don't waste time on your questions. Just answer your questions, come back and review them. But make sure the ones that you know, you are sure you know them. Just make sure that the ones you don't know are not too much. Then, yes, pray. After everything, pray. And then the OSCE was very unique. Honestly, the OSCE did not come out the way we expected. Like the picture tears, the instrumentation, the way it was supposed to be organized, that we were taught it to be organized, was not organized in that way. It was completely unique. Like I said, NZ exams are not predictable. The one that was done in June, they cancelled the CBT exam, and then the cutoff mark for the OSCE was reduced, and that was how a lot of people passed. Whereas in the one that was written in November, CBT was done. Some people had some issues with their CBT, which I thought they tried to fix. There are not too many people. So they did a combined result, and they even reduced the cutoff mark to 42%. So it was reduced so that the number of people that passed would pass. Yet the failure that was not good. I think it's been a while that this amount of failure, and to think that we're not even much registered for this exam. So what I'll say is that I will not discourage you from going to a tutorial group for your Mdcn, but I don't want you to put your trust in Mdcn tutorial groups. I know most of them want to sell their market, and I'm not even antagonizing them. Many of them really put in efforts to teach their students. In fact, I will not lie, I benefited a lot from many of the free pages. I was on the free pages knowing that, okay, I wasn't going to pay for any tutorial groups, even online. I just joined their free pages, and some of them were just amazing. They did free Zoom classes, free classes. Some of them were very helpful, and I do believe they must have done much more than that for their own students. Some even did some mock CBT, which you could pay even if you're not a member of the tutorial group. So I'm not saying that the tutorial groups did not help. They really tried their best. If not for anything, I learned a lot of instruments in the process of preparing for this exam. I learned a lot of instruments. But what I'll just say, please don't put your hope on the tutorial group. They want to market their business. Just if you're going to be part of the tutorial group, online or anyway, just know that it's a way of fueling your own studying, not that they are going to be the reason why you pass. 2, don't be, let's say 2, now this is not 2, maybe 6 or 5. Don't believe in EXPOS. In fact, there were so many things that were flying while we were preparing for the exam. This is what is going to come out, this is going to come out. More like up to 98% of those things did not come out. Like literally, they did not come out. I would even say 100% did not come out. The only thing that came out was something that was always very common here, which is hematuria, and that was in the clacking. And even the approach to it was very different from what we would have expected. So to be honest, don't believe in EXPO and all that. Most times it will not. It will only just distract you, distort you, and take you away. Just have a clear mind, trust God, and believe that what you have read will be good enough, and pray and trust the Lord. And for those who have made efforts to write this exam and it did not still go out well, to be honest, the exam I don't really think is based on how smart you are or anything. I just believe there are a lot of factors that are into it. So there are a lot of people that have really made a lot of effort, but it seems it's not yield, and it's very hurtful and all. So what I just say that if you're preparing for this exam, just put like the spiritual aspect much more than your physical preparation, because at the end of the day, it is God that will really give you the grace. I remember I was preparing for my WAEC. In fact, preparing for this Mdcn exam made me remember a lot about my WAEC. And I remember how people used to give a lot of stories of how people spend years trying to prepare for the exam and still didn't pass. So, well, I just want to thank God. Honestly, I won't even give much credit to myself, but I just want to see how I passed my exam without tutorials. And I would say that the clinical rotations I did just helped me to acclimatize with the place. I won't really say much of what I learned. The clinical rotations were very helpful in my exam, but I know they are going to be helpful in my practice as a doctor, and wherever I go, they will be of help. And if not for anything, the clinical rotations helped me. Like, I got people who encouraged me on a daily basis and who were intentionally involved in my progress. They took my progress personal. So if not for anything, I thank God for those clinical rotations. So whether I go for a clinical rotation, Mdcn tutorial, what I've said, I believe would make sense. And there were a lot of vlogs that I watched that are also very helpful. So this is how I passed my Mdcn exam without going to a tutorial class. And I'm just being honest. And I just hope you listen to what I say. Yes, another thing I want to say is I mentioned community medicine. Please take more attention to community medicine. And important, when you are reading, understand what you are studying. Don't cram past questions. Just understand the questions. You go a longer way than if you cram, because I believe most of the questions just needed you to think and reason out. So yes, this is what I just want to say. I just want to share this, probably with time, maybe subsequent topics and things that will be more broken down will be included. To add, I said a blog mass series on my blog. The link attached to my I think I mentioned that already. See, I always forget. But yes, it's a blog mass, it's a podcast, everything, rose, anything that creative platform. Please share. And please, I make books, or I sell books, I make art, other stuff. The link in my bio will lead to my creative platforms. So thank you very much, and until next time on this channel, stay safe and God bless. Bye bye.